Man, I don't want that. But do you have slides? Yes, I do. Okay, you want to send it via mail? Yes. Yeah, so we met a lady here earlier, but she said she's not the one that. Yes, she's not the one. So what did you say? I want to check now. Every laptop has every laptop has a different mail. Okay. I think you are really Hello, Matthias.
Hello, ma. Good evening.
Sure. Where's your laptop?
I don't know. I tried to call him, but he's not picking up the call.
Oh, did I what is that one? If I read I have another panel. You can hear me.
Oh,
I have another panel. Which parameter is anchored? I will be there briefly before coming. So I saw you in the last about right. Are you back to LSA? I'm the one signing it, but you saw repeat second.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Can you turn on the camera so that I can see the people?
I don't know if the panelists are around. Sorry, excuse me, you're a panelist, right? Just can you sit there? I want to come and give you the link for you to see it. Yes, okay.
Lagos Association.
Okay, Lagos Studies Association 2.
Lagos Studies Association 2. At gmail.com.
Matthias, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I said that I have another panel going on now. You should be
Okay.
and why should we not?
Okay. Okay. All right. Yes, I can.
Okay, this is yours. All right, I'll see it soon. I'm Lola. That's coming.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you once again. We are back to the Japa session. This is the last session of on Japa. So the first part. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. The first presenter, Israel. Is Israel here with us?
Sorry, is Israel here?
Is Israel here with us? Okay. The next person, Victoria, are you here? Okay. Please, you have 10 minutes to give us the chat, and then we will discuss further your paper, and we'll receive comments from the audience and all that. So we already run out of time because of the internet issues and some stuff like that. So let's hear from Victoria. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Dambala Suriya from University of Ibadan, and today I'm presenting the Japa Medical Brain and Compulsory Lecture Program in Nigeria. So I'll start by looking at the first heading, which is Japa, the brain drain phenomenon in Nigeria. In August 2022, a video showing the CEO of Africa Startup Factor, Dingba Peter, was explaining the meaning of Japa to a French ambassador. And he defined Japa as a word that describes the entrepreneurial spirit of Nigerians. And in that same word, it means that Nigerians, with all our content, our gifts, our skills and products, we want to export them, including exporting ourselves. Now, in that definition given by Dingba Matthew, there are two captivating words there: the entrepreneurial spirit and the export, meaning that it explains the hustling spirit of a Nigerian youth that wants to seek a better life for him or herself through migration. So when you say you are exporting something, that means you are selling something outside of the country. And so it shows people wanting to get something better by migrating outside of the country. So etymologically, Japa is from two Yoruba words, Ja and Pa. Ja means to run away, and Pa means to be very swift about it. So Japa means to flee, to run away earnestly, or to run for escape. And now that word has not been used as a catchphrase to capture the mass migration of Nigerian professionals from Nigeria to developed countries, but with the primary intention of seeking better lives for themselves. So Japa is not just describing migration, but a migration with the intention of seeking a better life for oneself. So the third slide. So from its etymology, we can say that Japa can mean the brain drain phenomenon. It means the mass migration of Nigerian professionals from Nigeria to developed countries in search of better living conditions. So we see Nigerians moving from Nigeria to developed countries like the US, the UK, Canada. So for this study, Japa will be used synonymously with brain drain. Now, I want to look at Japa in the Nigerian health sector. So Japa, which refers to the mass migration of young professionals from Nigeria to more developed countries in the search for greener pastures, is particularly acute in the Nigerian health sector. So Japa is more prominent in the health sector in Nigeria. We see more doctors, nurses, pharmacists leaving the country. The mass migration of health professionals from Nigeria to high-income countries is otherwise known as medical brain drain. And so for this study, I will be using medical Japa to refer to the medical brain drain, meaning Japa that is specific to the health sector. Now, medical brain drain is regarded as one of the acute ethical problems that is confronting the health sector in Nigeria, because the Nigeria health sector is already weak. We have less doctors, we have weak health infrastructures, we have low funding, poor remuneration, poor working conditions. And when doctors or health workers, when they now migrate, they add to the already weak system. It's more or less like they are making the already weak system weaker. And that is what makes medical brain drain more problematic, because it deals directly with the lives, with human lives. When health workers migrate, it has an invariable effect on the lives and the health of citizens. Now, a research study, that's the fifth slide. A research study carried out by the African Capacity Building Foundation reveals that the density of physician ratio in Nigeria is 4 per 10,000. So that means for every 10,000 person, we have only 4 doctors. And for nurses and midwives, 16.1 per 10,000. So for 10,000 people, we have just 16.1 nurses that are available to respond to them. And then another report by the UK government shows that 13,609 health workers had left Nigeria for the UK between 2021 and 2022. A whole 13,000 health workers have left the country. And similarly, a report conducted by Ona et al. Reveals that between 2016 and 2018, over 9,000 medical doctors had left Nigeria in search of greener pastures in the UK, in the US, and in Canada. Now, push factors that push health workers away, we know that, okay, poor living conditions, low remuneration, unsatisfactory working conditions. And the pull factors which attract health workers to migrate to wealthier countries include training opportunities, financial security, and better working environment. These are the things that attract Nigerian health workers to wealthier countries. And the negative effect of medical Japa is loss of personnel, health workers. When you go to Nigerian hospitals, you hardly find qualified or efficient health workers there. You see a doctor attending to very much number of people, and this has reduced the health quality that is being rendered to people. We can see low health workforce density, bad health outcomes, and all. But then the next slide, slide 7, is compulsory service program, the remedy to medical Japa. We know that medical Japa is a problem. It is affecting our health system. But what is the solution? Now, recently, the lower legislative chamber of the National Assembly released a bill, or let me say proposed a bill, that will allow health workers to serve for 5 years before they are allowed to travel or before they get their medical license. And this bill has attracted a lot of criticism from people that, oh, it is draconian and all. But I argue that although the NMA has said that, oh, the rule, the bill is actually draconian, I argue that the reason why compulsory service program, the bill, is actually problematic is not only because it is draconian, but because it has adverse effects, adverse long-term effects on health systems, even in Nigeria. So while the Nigerian government are thinking that, okay, enforcing the 5-year compulsory service program will address medical Japa, but I am saying that it will actually even increase it, and it will cause more harm than good. So I am saying here that compulsory service program, like 8, it means that for you to study a health-related course in the university, let's say medicine, for instance, that means as a student, as a prospective student, you want to get admission to study medicine, and you already know that, okay, after your 6 years and your 1-year service and 1-year outmanship, there's still additional 5 years that is still waiting for you. And I argue that attaching that condition will discourage prospective students from studying health-related courses. And I'm starting my argument by saying that access to education in Nigeria is problematic. A report by UNESCO says that over 20 million children are out of school due to factors such as child labor, insecurity, poor living conditions, social and economic issues. So many people do not even have the opportunity to go to tertiary institutions. As a matter of fact, I think that access to tertiary education in Nigeria is somewhat of a privilege because so many people don't even have access to it. And the people that have access to it, they have to go through rigorous process of writing JAM, writing post-UTME, and writing all forms of exams to even enter the university. But after going through all those struggles, now having the 5 years clause to study health-related course would most likely discourage students from even putting in for medicine. So if a right-thinking person would say, oh, why would I spend 12 years doing this course when I can actually spend maybe 4 or 5 years in engineering, get my certificate, and still leave the country? And so in the long run, students will actually not want to put in for medicine anymore, or nursing, or midwifery. And if the number of students that are studying these courses, if they begin to reduce, that means that the number of trained medical doctors, say in the next 5 years, 6 years, will be reduced. Because if in 100 level, they are supposed to train 150 medical doctors. But as a result of this compulsory service program, let's say 50 students decide to drop out of medicine to go and study engineering or other courses or accounting or something. And instead of producing 150 medical doctors at the end of 5 or 6 years, you're only producing 100. And so at the end of their studies, there is still a shortage at the end. So instead of having the normal numbers of students, but because of the compulsory service program requirements and the other factors that even complicate access to education in Nigeria, students that are interested, potential students that are interested in studying health-related courses will be reduced, which will eventually reduce the number of students of trained medical doctors. So in slide 10, I said the significance of my argument is that the adoption of compulsory service program has a condition for issuing
You have
medical
3 minutes
license.
remaining. 3 minutes
Okay.
remaining. 3
As
minutes.
a condition for issuing medical license could lead to the loss of potential medical students who would have ended up becoming trained medical doctors. And then the loss of these potential medical doctors will eventually lead to the shortage of trained medical doctors, loss of institution builders, and weakening of health systems in the longer term. So one compulsory service program, the intention is to fix the problem at the immediate time, but in the long term, it actually has adverse effects on the health system in Nigeria. So what is the way forward? How can the Nigerian government tackle the medical Japa problem? I said the first step is inviting major stakeholders in healthcare, that is the representative of the government, patients, health professionals and institutions, and policymakers to a dialogue. Let people, these representatives, let them come to the dialogue table and let them hear their grievances and collectively discuss the way forward. At the dialogue table, stakeholders of health will discuss how health workers' migration affects health systems in Nigeria. And they will also discuss how the government is actually in the shortcomings of the government, how it is affecting the health workers. And also, stakeholders of health must be willing to explore other means, such as, please, the next slide. The last slide, yes. The Nigerian government should employ other means, such as technical migration, and also tap into the pool of the diaspora. The doctors that have emigrated, the health workers that have emigrated, let the Nigerian government get in touch with them and see how they can give back to the country, while at the same time still exhibiting their right to migrate. They can actually tap into the pool of diaspora resources by strengthening ties with health workers in the diaspora, formulating initiatives that will encourage health workers to transfer skills virtually, or they could even come down to Nigeria for temporary training of the
Thank
medical
you.
students that we have. So with the reality, in
Thank you
conclusion,
so much.
yes, in conclusion, with the reality of medical brain drain, the Nigerian government must expand our health and public policies to accommodate initiatives capable of maximizing the benefits of migration and also work towards addressing the push factors responsible for the migration of health workers. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Damilola. Thank you for that wonderful insight on health workers. It's really an engaging and troubling issue. And we hope to interact with you when we come back for the interactive session after the presentation. Thank you so much. The next presenter, Ezi Onyinye Ebere. Are you online or physical? Virtual or physical? Ezi Onyinye Ebere. Okay. The last presenter, Chukwuebuka Kenneth Ugu. You have 10 minutes.
Okay, good day, everyone. I am Chukwuebuka Ugu from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. It's been a pleasure to participate in this wonderful and thought-provoking session. You know, this is the 5th part of these panel sessions, and I'll be following up. So I wouldn't like to bore you unnecessarily. So let's get to the chase. Let's cut to the chase. The title of my paper is Japa, the Nigerian educational system and the mass immigration of youth. So the thrust of this paper is to interrogate the Nigerian educational system and then to see if there is a nexus between the Nigerian educational system and then the mass immigration of youth. So first of all, I propose that the Nigerian educational system used to be one of the best in Africa. But then, as we all can testify, the Nigerian educational system is no longer what it used to be. Historically, we can actually point to the fact, we can actually trace it to colonialism. But then we have come a very long way. But let me just give a brief history of education in Nigeria. Education, Western education, as we all know, came with the missionary. So it goes without saying that the missionary, when they came in the 1840s, they started opening schools. And then when the former colonization took place, the government, the colonial government started making educational policies as early as 1920. So education became a national policy as early as 1920, in the 1920s. But then it was quote unquote a thing in paper. You know, something that they say, but they don't practicalize. So many Nigerians, as of then, you know, those who had the advantage, especially in the southern part of Nigeria, began to find other ways to pursue their education. So in the 1930s, we have the likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe. They were the people that went to the new world to study. And then most of them came back and encouraged other people to go there to study. So at the point, it became something known as the Golden Fleece. So the issue of migration as it pertains to education, going to pursue your education, didn't start today. But then currently, with the many maladies afflicting the Nigerian educational system, like I will not address all these things, but I'll just highlight it. We have the access rights, we have insecurity, we have underfunding of education, we have education, no projecting of education. Like the Nigerian budget, what I'm trying to say is that when the Nigerian government wants to make the budget, education is not given a high percentage. And then all these things culminate in the poor standard of education in Nigeria. And then you see that Nigerian students, as well as Nigerian teachers, the youth, they leave the country. And then the implication is that when they leave the country, the people that are supposed to teach other ones are the people that are less qualified, because those living the country are the best brains, because to even study abroad is not easy. If you are not intelligent, you cannot go there, you are not winning a scholarship there. So you find out that since those who are highly intelligent, since they leave the country, they leave Nigerian students, the people who cannot migrate, and the heads of these half-witted lecturers or teachers. And then it speaks to the bleak future of the Nigerian educational system. So this paper is actually contending the fact that people say that Japa, when we talk about Japa, people always refer to the medical practitioners. But then this paper is submitting that Japa is now more pronounced within the academia. Okay, I'm not going to talk statistically, but I'm going to give you the historical background again. Let me trace it also with colonialism again. When colonialism effectively took place, there was this divide and rule policy, whereby the activity of the missionaries were more pronounced in the southern part, and then the northern part were left with their own system or immediate system, which did not embrace Western education. So at some point, then the issue of educationally developed and the educationally less developed came up. And then the Nigerian the Nigerian government being controlled by the North, quote and unquote, came up with this idea of quota system. So I'm also saying that the quota system has bedeviled the Nigerian educational system. Because if you check the scenario, if you want to gain admission in the federal institutions, you have the issue of catchment area and all of that. I was
You have 5 minutes.
Okay, let me quickly summarize. So this paper actually is a work in progress, and the methodology used to study this Japa and Nigerian educational system. As I used participant observation. As a Nigerian student, I've actually witnessed a lot of things. So going to school in Nigeria is like taking a risk. And it is stressful at the same time as it is expensive. So that is why a lot of Nigerians are going to seek other opportunities. And the implication is that when they leave Nigerians, they wouldn't want to come back because of what would happen. They couldn't be paid commensurately and then they would be at risk because of the insecurity and all of that. You go to university hostels, many a times you hear about how kidnappers, kidnap students from the hostels and all of that. We have heard so many things about, the one that happened that, was a very, very big issue. The hashtag bring back our girls. And then find out that going to school is very, very risky in Nigeria, very expensive, very stressful, very difficult, and all of that. So what is the way forward? What can we do? What can we do to salvage Nigerian educational system? So what I'm saying is that government should provide that enabling environment, take the education very serious, because you cannot, if this place is where they have good quality education, they understand the fact that you cannot lead the world with empty brains. So our brains are leaking, and it is adding to their own economy. So, and then if you take it, if you weigh the benefits of Japa, as it has to do with migrating, going to study and all of that, then you see that there are the negative effects far outweighs the positive effects. But let me give you an instance of the benefit aspect of it. In Enugu State, for instance, I know of educational scholarship loans board. This loans board actually sponsor people. It's not as if they sponsor people, but then when you secure a fully funded admission in the United States or whatever, then they will give you money. They will give you 1 million naira. I don't know whether it's still happening, but then it just happened recently. Enugu State scholarship, I can't remember, but it's Enugu State scholarship, and let me check. Enugu State scholarship education loans board. Actually, these people encourage Nigerians to travel abroad, secure fully funded admissions and all of that, fully funded scholarships, because they believe that when these people travel there and come back, the remittances, the exchange rate and all of that, the immigration and all of that, that they are adding to the economy. Yeah, it's true. Nigerians abroad, they do come back to carry out research. But if you want to carry out research in Nigeria, find out that there is a huge, I don't know, a high, you can't carry out research in Nigeria. Okay.
1 minute.
All right. For instance, let me give an example. I went to the Enugu State archives, and then I wanted to get a material there, and then find out that the archives is not even accessible. When you go to the National Archives, you look cheap. Doing research in Nigeria. So those people will not even come back to Nigeria as they think to carry out research and all of that. Though some of them do come back to do ethnographic research. But then I'm saying that the infrastructure, the things that enable education to thrive are being killed, being silent in Nigeria. So what I'm saying is that Nigeria should have a rethink, because education is at the core of the Sustainable Development Goals, number 4. So this paper is a work in progress, but I'm positing that the Nigerian education should be given prior attention, because the future of Nigeria depends on the education of the youth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ugu Chukwuebuka Kenneth, for that wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. And as I tweaked the panel earlier, the 4th panel we had, I want to also carry on with what we did earlier in the morning. Can we have comments and questions from the audience before the panelists will now give their final charge on the papers? Thank you so much. Can we have questions from the audience? questions and comments?
To the presenters, I want to say thank you and to as well encourage you for your presentation. First of all, to Kenneth, I think when you're presenting, you need to look at the timing of your presentation. Currently, you can see people are tired already, right? So you need to learn how to skip long introduction, especially when you don't have enough time for your presentation. Then back to your work. You were talking about the Nigerian educational system, and you try to historicize the various trends and patterns of how education, how the Nigerian educational system has been over the years. But there's something that I think you were mixing up when you try to do a comparative analysis of these various trajectories, right? And at a point, we became very confused. Now, when you were talking about funding, you're talking about how the Nigerian educational system is expensive. Let me tell you something. The Nigerian educational system is one of the cheapest in the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if you see Nigerians that are migrating abroad, they are migrating because there are scholarship opportunities, right? That makes education affordable to them overseas. Now we'll also talk about why do people migrate, even if they have to pay, right? That one is because you are sure of the time you are graduating. This whole issue of incessant strike, you might not have it in the school you are going to abroad. Then we'll also look at the issue of conducive learning. If you look at where we're learning now, you are probably afraid that one of these ceilings might fall on top of your head. When you travel out, you will see that they have conducive learning environment. Then people also migrate so that they can have safety, look at the social amenities that is available to them. These are some of the reasons why people migrate, and not necessarily the quality of education. I mean, when you start saying Nigerian lecturing system, or we produce poor, do you understand? We write exams, and it is because we pass these exams. That is why those schools abroad give us admission. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So it is not that the quality of teaching in Nigeria is totally poor as you want to make us believe. I want to say you're still writing, so these issues are bound to come up. And for my dear sister, I don't know if you are aware of the fact that there is a difference between brain drain and brain redundancy, right? What I feel we currently have in Nigeria is not brain drain. Why do I say this? We're still in 2023. About a few months ago, the president of the Nigerian Medical Association did mention that we cannot talk about brain drain because there are still so many doctors who are looking for jobs, right? It is not that there is a shortage of doctors. What the problem is that some of these doctors that were formerly in the public sector, they have migrated, but the government is yet to replace them. So there's a vacuum. That's where the vacuum is coming from. Not that we don't have qualified doctors in Nigeria. We don't have qualified doctors in Nigeria. Then when you said if you tell doctors to stay 5 years, people might not want to go into the study of medicine. I would disagree with that point, right? Because if at the end of the day, the government is saying stay behind, we'll give you all the welfare packages, we'll give you the conducive environment to work, we'll pay your salary. I mean, if you ask many of these migrants or diasporans, they will tell you that it is not really like they want to leave their families behind. It is just the situation and the fact that there are no jobs, there are no conducive environment. That is why they are leaving. So if the government can assure students that, oh, by the time you graduate, we will employ you, we'll pay your remuneration and everything. I do not think the profession will become unattractive. Rather, it will become more attractive. Then I think there was, okay, I think I should stop for now.
Yeah, thank you very much, the presenters. My name is Ilo Moses. And number one, there's a general and established fact. Every one of us here, when I'm saying every one of us, including our parents, we are product of migration. So we have to note that one. But this issue of Japa, I'm addressing two of you, is more or less post 1986 phenomenon as a result of introduction of SAP that has brought not only Nigeria, even sub-Sahara African people to economic comatose. So when we are discussing this issue, I look at some young scholars nowadays, Japa. To me, I'm thinking that you are following some of the illiterates outside there. Because that Japa is a slant in Yoruba. I cannot even fine-tune it or to place it. But it has come to stay. And that is what we are now laying emphasis on it. Migration has been existing right from the creation, even before the coming of Europeans. If you look at the history properly now, you see how people migrate from one place to another, whether because of lack of water or pedestrian or farmer or insecurity or getting food. People migrate. Like my own grandfather now, I know they migrated from one part of Ogun State to another part. So I want to just advise. I know whether professor can checkmate me. We should try to de-emphasize on this Japa. People can travel. You that you are here now, you came all the way from where? From Usuka. You have embarked on local Japa, and whoever Japa will Japu. So that is that. Now, coming to the issue, I want to start from the yellow man there, Kenneth. The first that my sister now has even pointed out, when you are talking about Japa, as I have said, is more or less of a post 1986 phenomenon as a result of this introduction of structural adjustment program. When you look beyond that, Nigeria, even in 80s, I have some of my uncles, when our naira is even greater than dollar, they were sending money from here, and they don't have that intention of staying there. So what I want to say is that when you are using the Japa now, you have to put it in a right periodization. To me, I'm an historian. Periodization, that is, you look at it from 1986 to the present day. Knowing fully well that all of us, we are product of migration. The Europeans that we are migrating to, they migrated here, they carted our resources down to their global city there. So that is that. Now, there is need for you to look at that. And also, concerning your argument, you are downplaying the educational policy of this country, which though is having a problem, but not entirely the way you are producing it. Because to some of people here, to some of the Nigerians, we are competing because, for instance, in UK, we are using the curriculum. All the curriculum in UK now was copied verbatim. It was only in during the Tafunwa regime that they now moderated to have the, the input of Nigerians. So as a matter of fact, if you look at all what you have been doing in our education system, including law and what have you, government and all this thing is just imitation, proper verbatim. We are imitating them. So whoever that is doing well in this country now can, as well as with this our poor condition of study here, we can even out. In fact, we can even displace them over there. Example has even shown to some of the migrants also in Nigeria in recent times, they were doing well because of the enabling environment. So take note. And also, there is need for you to cite appropriate example. What I have seen, although you said that it's work in progress, what I have seen, you are just trying to look at it in broader part. You don't narrow it down. So that is that. So, sister, well done for the job. This issue of health issues is a really challenging, but it's not in that context we are putting it. Just as he has even said, we are having some health personnel that they were not even, they want to stay in the country. They have all those things to stay. But some people now, because of this issue of money, that is payment, that is why some of them they are migrating to the global city. So what I want to say generally is that we have to be mindful to be that we are talking about this Japa. It's for us to talk academically, not emotionally. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Kayo Depagite. I want to thank the presenters for the wonderful presentations. I want to comment on the first speaker, on the first speaker's work. I live in a town that hosts a teaching hospital. I've been there for over 15 years now. I've had friends who are medical doctors, nurses, and health practitioners. In the last 3 or 4 years, so many of them have left. They've gone, and I have seen the impact firsthand. I visit the hospitals and all that. And I want to thank you for the point you made, because earlier today I was discussing the government has been that of silence, because it's like an easy way out of the employment issue. So many people have gotten jobs now that they didn't imagine they would get, because many people left their tech jobs and then spaces just was available for them to enter. So on one hand, it's a blessing to so many others who have been on the waiting lists for entry into job places. So I used to think it was just the medical area that brain drain should be applied to, but from how you explain that medical sector, it's only portrays the acuteness of the problem. So thank you for that. For your recommendations, you spoke about other factors aside the fact that the training of medical students is one of the most expensive anywhere in the world. And some of the medical professors of medicine, in nursing, physiotherapy, pharmacy, and all that I've heard, who complain about the Japa syndrome is that they sacrifice even part of their salaries to train these doctors. And we don't have enough doctors or medical professionals that these guys come here and almost train for free. And then the next thing is they leave. And that it is unfair to a system who is trying to train you for the population. They are not even enough. We are trying to train you and then you just run. As I earlier told you, our friends, when I speak with them, I say, what's the next thing? They tell me they just want to finish and leave and leave. So if for the first time the government feels, okay, 5 years of compulsory service, we don't want to hold on to your entire life, serve for 5 years and leave, I think it's okay. Or jack up the fees. Whoever wants to go and study health-related courses would know he's paying for the training, and then after the training, you can go wherever you want to go. Thank you.
Is there any more questions or contributions? Like to okay.
Okay. Can I respond to the questions?
Okay,
Can I
you can go on.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I can say generally that we are on the same page. Yeah. You asked me about the quality of education in Nigeria. That the problem is that the people go there. It's not as if Nigerian lecturers are not doing well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we are just on the same page because the things you mentioned that Nigerians migrate, like the things that put them, attract them there, that they are not here in Nigeria, and because of that, they go to where it is available. Those things are available. And then, so my reaction to what you're saying is that I strongly believe that there is inefficiency in the Nigerian educational system. I cannot say that you can get quality education in Nigeria. Let me give you instances. In a class that should normally contain 60 students, the university system, they will admit about 400 students. Some people will be outside, some people will be stand up. In that kind of environment, how can you learn? How can you get quality education? In a hostel, which is so dilapidated that you cannot even get a fresh air, a hostel that is so chock-a-blocked with people, a hostel that is supposed to be for, that is meant for poor people, now housing 10 people. How do you read in that environment? How can you get quality education from those things culminate in the poor quality of education in Nigeria? And I think I'm clear in that when I say that the standard of the Nigerian educational system is below the average standard because the infrastructure and the apparatus, the working structure of the Nigerian system do not make education to thrive. So what my response to you is that Nigerians who are doing well educationally in Nigeria is because they are endowed naturally with super intelligence. Let me give an instance. When there was somebody that came to University of Nigeria, I think that was P2B before the campaign of before he declared even interest in the contesting the presidency. He says something in an inaugural lecture that if we subject the white people to what we are facing here in Nigeria, they cannot even make a C grade. Like they will perform.
Can
and
you
they will
summarize?
Can
you summarize because of time?
Okay. What I'm saying is that because those things are not here, there should be effort to make them available here. And then to the second person that asked me a question about migration, that people have been migrating even before a lot of. I think I mentioned all those things. Maybe you weren't around that time. I said that even in the colonial period, that the likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe, Mbono Jike, Nwaforisu, Okechukwu Ikejian, and so many other Nigerians, they were going to the United States, Canada to study. So I said that the Japa trend now is as a result of the insecurity and underfunding, high school fees, and all of that. So I'm saying that there should be intervention, urgent intervention in the Nigerian system of education. That's what I'm saying. I didn't say that migration started recently and all of that. So I'm talking about Japa, the recent mass immigration of youth from Nigeria. I know that when the austerity measures and all of that, the Buhari administration and 1984, 85, things were very bad, and then the structural adjustment program and all that things were bad then, and people were moving. I think I took cognizance of that. But I'm talking about the recent immigration of a youth from Nigeria, and I am submitting that.
Thank you. Can we hear from Damilola? Thank you. Can we hear from Damilola?
Yes,
Can you comment on some of the questions that you were asked?
Yes, it's just that the person that asked the question has left already. So she said there is a difference between brain drain and brain redundancy. That what we have is brain redundancy because the people that are leaving, government is not employing them. They are not employing other doctors to fill in the gap that is made available. But I want to submit that what we have is brain drain, because the NMA reports that currently in Nigeria, we have only about 44,000 doctors, and we have a population of 200 million. So we have just 44,000, both employed and unemployed, because the NMA has the current statistics of doctors, because immediately medical doctors have been trained and they are issued their license, they get a license number from the NMA. So NMA is saying we have 44,000 doctors in Nigeria, catering to the needs of 200 million. That's ratio 1, I don't know, but the ratio is very, very bad, compared to the WHO recommendation that states that there should be a 3.69 physician ratio to 100. So a 3.69 physician should actually cater for 100 people. But in Nigeria, we are seeing something like 16.1 catering to 10,000 people. So that statistic is there. So irrespective of whether they are employed or not, the point is there is a shortage of medical doctors in Nigeria. And brain drain is making it worse, because I can't imagine that we are having 44,000 that is not even enough to cater for 200 million, and we are still seeing, let's say, 12,000 of them emigrating. That makes the shortage worse. So what we have is not brain redundancy. What we have is medical brain drain. Let us call it what it is. What the Nigerian health sector is experiencing is medical brain drain. Then she said the compulsory service program can actually work if government can, tell the doctors that, okay, we'll give you good salary, we'll do this, we'll do that. But I am talking about the present reality. The proposed bill that was initiated in the House of Representatives did not make any provision for health workers. What the bill just said is that, oh, let us give health workers for 5 years. And I am saying that without any intervention from the government, it would discourage students from studying medicine. So if the government does not meet the health workers halfway, then the compulsory service program will not work. So and sir, for you, that issue you mentioned is a very, 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 very big debate when it comes to the issue of medical brain drain. That is, medical doctors have the reciprocal obligation to their country who has sponsored them. You know, the country has spent a lot, has invested a lot, and then you take that investment, you take it abroad to better your own life at the expense of the country. But also, there is also the argument of the right to emigrate, that the right to emigrate is a universal right. So there is a conflict there between health workers' rights and reciprocal obligation. But this conflict can be resolved by having a dialogue. When I was talking about the way forward, I said major stakeholders of health have to come to a dialogue. Let us talk about how we can resolve this issue. The government have to meet health workers halfway by addressing the push factors responsible for their immigration. And then health workers also must be ready to meet the government halfway too. So both parties must be willing to resolve whatever conflict that is there, because there is a conflict. Although the Nigerian government is silent, there is a conflict between health workers and the Nigerian government, and it can only be resolved when there is a dialogue and there is the willingness on both parts to resolve the issue. Thank you very much. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Odinaka, one of the panelists from University of Mississippi, will comment before we round up the section, when I will say one or two things and give charge. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I have really enjoyed the presentations, not just this one, but all the Japa presentations that we have had in this panel. It's been really engaging. Some has been emotional, but we keep trying to contextualize this issue in the in Nigeria today. I like note of those comments. Those were really stimulating comments that could help you to fine tune some of your research questions. To my sister who presented on medical doctors brain drain, I love your presentation. That is an area that I'm really interested in exploring. I was wondering if you found out, if you could actually just oppose your research, because you discovered that the ratio of medical doctors per citizens, and I was wondering if you could just oppose that with other systems of healing. In Nigeria, we all know that there is the health system is pluralistic, right? Many people, citizens, chose to visit many other healing practitioners that is not captured within the statistics that you're quoting. So there is brain drain, but there was a joke on Twitter. Was it on Twitter? I don't remember where I found it, where they said that if all the medical doctors leave, that native doctors will now take charge. Now that is a joke, but in the Nigerian system, we all know that there are prophetic healings, there are Muslim healers and all that. So how do we balance that, right? How do we balance those statistics? How do Nigerians make their choices of where to visit when they are sick? Can all of them even afford to go to hospital? That should be the question. Can all of them, even when the doctors are there? So look, these are the issues that may not be captured in some of these big data in the United Nations and all that. But I need to see that nuance in your analysis. To Chukwebuka, I was wondering, because your argument is that pardon? Your argument was that the Nigerian educational sector has deteriorated. But you also shot yourself on the leg when you begin to make argument that some of our founding fathers like Ikeja and Zeke and all that they traveled out. Does that mean that the Nigerian educational sector, even at then, was as it is today? Now, that was what someone was trying to point you out to some of the reasons why people actually travel. Maybe, yes, the Nigerian educational system is deteriorated, but that cannot be the only thing that are pushing people. That cannot be the only factor that are pushing people out. We all know, even to you, Damilola, there is a clause in the U.S. immigration that usually that allow medical health workers to settle in. So these are some of the complicated nature of this migration. And then you always hear this call in UK about health workers, the need for health workers globally. There is a shortage of health workers globally, right? So to you, Chukwuebuka, how do you analyze this issue of Japa when there is a pull factor? A pull factor that is drawing these Nigerians out, right? So I want us to start thinking about Japa beyond, because why we use Japa is for us to really understand it in the Nigerian context, what migration means in the Nigerian context, right? And I was also wondering the kind of methodologies that you use, Chukwuebuka, when conducting this research. I think that is one of the things that should come at the fore when you are presenting in a conference. We need to know the method you use. We need to know your findings, right? Those are just the areas that I want to touch on. I will leave the rest of the comment to my co-panelist, Mr. Matthias.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those wonderful comments, and I appreciate that gave us very insightful comments and thoughtful questions and to ponder on. And Damilola, I want you to take cognizance of what the first person that interacted with you said about brain drain and brain redundance. So I want you to take note of that word. I don't want to emphasize on it, but I want you to, while returning the paper to us, as we are trying to find, as we are already discussed with an editor about some of these papers to have a published in the next journal. Just within these few weeks, marry what the first person that interacted with you on brain drain and brain redundance. By the time you go back and look at what she said, you will also come up with your own argument. Maybe give it a broader perspective, because if you also look at what she said and what you are saying, you will see the connection or the nexus between the brain drain and brain redundance from her own perspective, that we have medical doctors, but how can we fix them in that gap from people that have migrated? So I just want you to marry that. And she also mentioned, I also have it in my, when you mentioned about the 5 years, and you also repeated it when you were answering the question, 5 years. And 5 years, I'm not sure it will discourage someone from studying from studying health related courses, because even here in the United States, people spend lots of years in medical school, more even beyond the 6 years or 7 years we do that in Nigeria. So when someone comes to the idea of extra 5 years for you to practice or whatever, a passionate someone can use that scenario to also master his or her field. And to Kenneth also, I love what the first person that interacted with you also said about you maximizing time in conference and some stuff like that. The second speaker spoke about narrowing your work down. And also, let me also reiterate, because you also mentioned it when you were answering the question about high school fees. And I love the comments from the first person that spoke to you, that Nigeria is one of the cheapest, if I can use that word, the cheapest university you can ever attend in the world. Because when you talk about high high school fees, whatever, I am checking, I'm trying to marry the high school fees in terms of the school fees people are paying, because just as she said, if what people are enjoying in the United States is the scholarship attached to the school fees, not the school itself, but the scholarship are attached because, for instance, in the University of Pennsylvania, where I am, is you pay per semester, and per semester is 25,000 something dollars. The cost of that of that fees. So, and let me correct you when you said about Enugu State Scholarship Board gives scholarship. The scholarship board does not give scholarship in Enugu State. Rather, they help and assist people, people who are passionate of studying abroad. They have their mentors, and they group the mentees who identified with the scholarship board that they want to travel. So by grouping the mentees in the board of mentors, they have to mentor them how to apply, schools to apply, and strategies to apply. So they don't give scholarship. They allow the students to explore different universities, and the student comes back to the mentor to share some thoughts and some of that what have you with the scholarship board. So I want to thank this panel. Essentially, Edzo Onyinye just joined, but the panel is already about to end, because we have been calling you to as I said, much better, and we have already eaten deep into our time. You just came into this panel who has been with us since yesterday, giving us insightful comments and making robust arguments here on us with the on this panel. And also, this has been a wonderful panel altogether, and I want to appreciate the audience. I don't know if we can give you audience. I will first speak with LSA organizers in Nigeria to know if they can give you 5 minutes to talk. If they can't, we have tried to wait for you till now. So let me leave the organizers to comment on that before we come back to you. Thank you.
I've been struggling to join. It's network problem here.
So please, the LSA organizer, are we giving her time, or have we exhausted our time? Please, let's know before we make any decision or whatever.
We currently have that session is supposed to end by 7. So that's about 10 minutes.
Okay, can we give her 5 minutes?
Yeah, we can give her 5 to 7
Okay.
minutes.
Oh, wonderful. So can we have you within 7 minutes, so that we can use 3 minutes to discuss your work? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for this extended to me. The title of my work is Impact in Nigeria. And I tried to argue that whereas migrants or migration has been viewed as being potentials to the sending country, that there are ways the sending country can also benefit from the migrants through their remittances. I also discussed in the paper that some of the factors that push migrants out of their country include bad government, environment, harsh economic and political environment. And after all the arguments I've made, I now say that it is not possible to control migration. From immemorial, people have been going outside of Nigeria people outside of Nigeria have been coming into Nigeria. It is not just possible to control people from migrating from one region to the other, but rather what could be done is to manage these migrations and see how the sending country, for instance, Nigeria in this particular case now, can benefit from the process of her citizens that have that an efficient way of controlling migration is making the country attractive, making Nigeria attractive for the citizens, so that instead of us experiencing brain waste, instead of us making our people not to leave Nigeria because there is nothing immigration services will do that will prevent people from going outside of Nigeria. They are even ready to cross the Sahara Desert, as we have noted in the time past. They are ready to walk thousands of kilometers across the Sahara Desert just in order to leave Nigeria. Experiences of unemployed graduates show that they're able to do anything to leave Nigeria. Now, I want to suggest, I want to conclude that for Nigeria to have an intelligentsia between the Nigeria, that she can make the country governable, she can make the country attractive economically, make education easily acquired to the youth, so that they can stay there, so that even the ones that must go, like China and other Asian countries, what they do is to find a way of making their scientists, their graduates go out and do exchange programs, so that by the time the remittances come, they use it for developmental projects. We cannot doubt the fact that these remittances have helped various families, various social and developmental programs in Nigeria. For instance, families that have migrants abroad do experience some upliftment. Can also have a positive effect in the rest of the economy. I think this is the little I can give with the limited time I was given. I want to believe that if Nigerian governance can make Nigeria attractive, and again, liaise with the receiving countries, so that they will track these migrants and official, because we know that all the remittances are not official. If they make open the remittances, we will see that the income Nigeria make from remittances increases by the day. Yet, not all of them are recorded, but all of them are recorded. It will add to Nigeria's GNP, and it will not be that negative again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Eze-Onyinye. Thank you so much. I'm curious to know why you chose 2000 to 2010. I'm curious to know why the two dates. I'm very curious to know why you pointed and also to know why the remittances you are talking about. Just I want you to point out on these two questions.
Yeah, my discipline works with chronology. We cannot, if I begin to talk about migrants and remittances since the beginning of the country called Nigeria, 10 days will not be enough to exhaust it. So we'll always want to pick a particular period. Why I chose 2010 is that the issue of migrants seemed to have heightened since 2000 till, I know that it's been heightening too, but why I chose to stop at 210 is to make the study concise enough to make it concise enough to be handled.
To be concise, is there what's motivated the 2010 or 2000? What statistic did you use to give this to give this concise, you are talking about what are you going to marry to give this? I want to understand why you want to concise that 10 years.
Yeah, 2010 is the beginning of a new century, the 21st century. And considering migration within 10 years is big enough study to occupy mind.
Excuse me.
We don't, in history, we deal with facts. There must be a reason why you start in 2010. There must be something significant why you want it and why you are ending it. So as this is an ongoing research, I am encouraging you to go back home and think why, because even in your paper, you have to state why you are choosing these 2 dates, and it must be clear, and there must be a kind of, a kind of something. What's there when we use in history?
Scope of study.
A scope of study. You must tell us why this is this. And there must be a significant event why that is starting here. And when you end it here, there must be a significant event. You don't just tell us you want to make it concise. No, it's not acceptable anywhere in history. It's not acceptable anywhere in scholarship. Oh, thank you. So we are expecting to have your paper. I'm sorry, I have another panel. Then we are expecting your few paper. When we call on you, please remember to send your paper for review. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Misobia, I have concluded already before you came in. She came in when we have already exhausted all the papers and the question and answer and all that. So can you please give a final charge and then farewell to the audience? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. So we thank all our panelists, and we thank those that have been following the discussion from the beginning to the end. This is the highest proposal that received a good number of publications. So as we've said earlier, we will call people, we are making proposals to see if we can have a public issue. And we'll work with LSA for that. But the 3 chairs, myself, Matthias, and Odinaka, will have a meeting, we'll discuss with LSA director, and then we'll take the discussion further. So whenever we call on you and you are still interested in this discussion, please don't hesitate to join or to send in your, so work on your papers. And then when we call, we'll do a review and then choose whether it will be 1 special issue or 2 special issues. So thank you everyone who has followed this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.